Welcome to Coaching Minutiae. I'm your host, Nic Carothers. I am here today with a special guest. We call her Coach, uh, Coach Nina. How do you pronounce your last name, Coach?
Winsick.
Winsick. Coach
Yeah.
Nina Winsick, everyone. Super excited to have her. She is our head mental health coach here at Decatur Central High School. She is amazing. And today our conversation is all surrounded about how we can better serve the athlete, how we can better inform the parent and the coach, educate the coach about mental health and the challenges our kids face on a day-to-day basis. So, first of all, Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well today. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good day. Good weather treating you well. It's a little chilly.
Indeed, I mean, even being from Southern California, I'm enjoying the cold. I'm
So this
adjusting.
is this your first winter?
This will be my second.
Second winter.
Yep,
Okay.
second.
Yeah. We got a little snow yesterday. So
yes.
It caught me off guard driving to work.
Just a bit. Got a little dicey, but it's okay. It's all right.
So
doing well.
On the podcast, we talk about minutia, the details, all the little things that go into building a program, but more importantly, building people.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do as a mental health coach is you build people. You build, who they are when adversity strikes. Tell us a little bit about your passion, Coach.
Yeah. So big question about my passion. I was an athlete all my life.
What sport?
So soccer is where I started.
Okay.
And then kind of as I got older, I dabbled in other things. So in high school, I actually took a step away from soccer. I was in kind of the club soccer scene, and things were getting kind of just to that point where, do I specialize? Do I try other things? And so my parents they just knew, hey, we're at this crossroads. Which one do you want to take? And I wanted to try something different. I was getting a little burnt out. So in high school, I did cross country, basketball, and track. And then I went back to soccer kind of unconventionally in college.
Okay.
I kind of have a bunch of different sports when that question comes up.
That's okay. Well, you have a good, well-rounded experience in multiple sports,
mm-hmm.
and the challenges that those sports face is probably helping your career.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, with that athletic experience and being a college athlete as well, I was studying psychology because that was something I was interested in, kind of how the mind works, how we work as people and socially. And then I found sports psychology, sport and performance psychology, and I kind of went, oh, this is the blend of my passions. This is where the two things that I most enjoy come together.
That's
and so
awesome.
That's kind of where my passion lies, is supporting people and being their best, in optimizing, their mental performance, and also just their general well-being, right? That's kind of what I'm passionate about.
Wow, that is an origin story for sure, Coach, of how you took your experiences and then you found your passion and
mm-hmm.
your career, that transition from being an athlete to being a professional. I mean, how was that transition for you? I mean, to have to walk away from your sport when there was time and then find a passion in somewhere else.
Yeah, it was difficult. It was difficult because I was really locked in on my athletic identity. I still hold on to that very strongly. I still would call myself an athlete. I'll probably hold on to that forever, but I think it was challenging. It was challenging to go from kind of the accountability, the support, because I did mostly team-based sports, and going from that to kind of being solo. How do I fit, in not only my kind of life outside of sport, but in the sporting world, because I wanted to be kind of sport adjacent with what I did. I knew that was something I wanted to, that's why I'm here really, that I get to do that. But it was a difficult transition, and took me some years to find my footing of where do I fit? How do I exercise? Also, how do I be an exerciser now and maybe different than an athlete? How will that inform my professional career? So I think I'm grateful to the challenge that gave me, right, in some ways, in that journey of figuring out who am I outside of being Nina the athlete versus, being the professional. And so I think I'm grateful for the challenge that it gave me to show me, hey, this informs how I then talk to other athletes about how when they step away from, and transition out of sport, who are you without that? So
we're going to talk about
it.
We're going to dive into that.
Great.
So, Coach, this is such an important topic. Not that any other topic on Coaching Minutiae that we've done isn't important, but mental health is something that affects this the student athlete, the professional athlete, the collegiate athlete at all levels, at all ages, and it's just something that we are really just still learning about, especially as coaches. So I took notes, Coach. I wrote some questions down, and I usually don't do this. It's usually just a straight conversation about whatever sport that coach is coaching. but this is new for me too. So I want to make sure that we are thorough for all our coaches out there,
Yeah.
for all our parents and athletes out there. And I took some notes.
Sure.
I have some questions I kind of want to ask you,
Mhm.
and I want you just to, go for it, Coach.
All right.
Please, it's going to help the community so much.
Sounds good.
So tell me this, Coach, okay? Why student athletes? Why student athletes now on your path and not the professional athlete, or talk to me why that's the choice.
Yeah, so a couple reasons. One, it's kind of where my professional journey has led me. So just to kind of give some background to where my studies have been
Yes.
academically,
Yes.
I studied, as I mentioned, psychology in my undergraduate career, and then with an emphasis in sport and performance psychology. In my master's program, I studied athletic counseling. So I got a counseling degree, but focused on student athletes.
Right.
So we got some of that collegiate athlete experience and got to work with a plethora of teams there and kind of see the inner workings of a Division III program.
Okay.
And then I'm actually now I'm pursuing my doctorate at
Yes.
IU. And so at IU, I'm pursuing a doctorate in counseling psychology with that sport and performance psychology emphasis as well. And so as part of my training, we get different clinical experiences each year to kind of build towards our professional career.
Right.
And so in the first year, we work at our training clinic on campus. And here I am in the second year. And in the second year of our program, we work in high schools to kind of get that experience with that age group, which has been so rewarding so far to be here at Decatur and to work with student athletes. And so I think, why it's a part of my journey. One, it's part of my program, but also it's a place where I'm really passionate about working in athletics. And I think too, high school athletes at this stage of where we are in sport and performance psychology are a pretty underserved group at this moment.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's part of why, our IU counseling psych students are in the high schools, because it is underserved, and we're kind of getting this opportunity to spread the word on this is important at this age group, not just at the professional, kind of the sexier sport and performance psychology groups.
Now tell me your experience here at Decatur Central, working with this administration, with this student body, does it differ tremendously from other places that you maybe have been involved in or maybe played at?
Good question. So I think I'll tell everybody my experience has been wonderful. It's been, top down from our administrators and the folks who brought me here, down to, all the way with our kids and just getting to interact with them every day. There's a lot of buy-in. There's a lot of understanding that this is an important resource for athletes right now, and coaches in other parts of the, athletic environment. But I think everyone I talk to understands, hey, we really need this. There's that sentiment among everybody.
Student athlete first.
Absolutely. That we're missing a critical piece if we're not talking about the mental health side or the sport performance on the mental side. So, I think my experience has been reflective of that, where everyone's really bought in, excited about it. The kids have been really fun to work with. I mean, they're an awesome group. I get to interact with them in different ways. I work with them in their strength and conditioning classes to kind of share about topics. I go to their practices, their competitions. I see them on campus during the day, and those interactions have been really rewarding to me and really enriching. And I'm starting to see, as I've been here now since really August was when I kind of got the ball rolling, that those relationships have strengthened, and there's some buy-in and excitement about, hey, what are we going to do for our next presentation?
Oh, I know,
what are we, what are you going to talk about next time? So I think they're starting to see those connections of why this is important, but also what even is this? Like, there's kids who are asking about what is mental health or what is sport and performance psychology and what do you do and how do I incorporate that?
And some have a negative thought process when they think about it, and it's not negative at all. It's a part of the same thing as good hygiene or good nutrition, what you eat, or exercising. It's the same thing, just a different part of your body.
Yeah, and a lot of them haven't gotten exposure to what this is or what it could be for their performance. And I think there sometimes can be this connotation, and it's a stigma that as sport and performance psych professionals we experience, but from athletes that, I have to be in distress to go to that person and talk to them. I have to be, having a mental health concern to be talking to the sport and performance psych person. But what I try to communicate to our athletes is, yes, that is very true, that if you're experiencing those things, we can surely talk about it. And also you could be performing at a high level and want to take it to an even higher level. Absolutely. And then that's where our work can start as well.
Yes, that's big, Coach. That's big. Okay, so just from our conversations, I mean, you've had an opportunity to work with my program. I've seen you work with people throughout other programs in the weight room. I kind of got some built-in connections. I think you and I, from our conversations, have in common. So we're both in the business of not just helping the student athlete, but building good people.
Mm-hmm.
People who are resilient, people who can face adversity and embrace challenges.
Yes.
Tell me about your top path or a success story you had with helping someone find that way to accept those challenges and embrace the adversity. Talk to me.
So I will reflect on working with an athlete that I got to work with at Springfield College. So that's where I did my master's program. This was a volleyball athlete, and she was coming back when I started working with her. She was coming back from an ACL tear. And
that's tough.
Yeah.
I've had that surgery.
Oh yeah.
Oh, not fun.
Yeah, no, I don't. I hear that it's not fun. And that was the case for her. She was, she had a pretty decent start to her career. When we started working together, she was a freshman, but she got injured that year, and then we worked through 2 years of kind of getting her back to where she wanted to be, and a lot of our work started in just grieving. Kind of grieving this expectation of what things were supposed to look like. Yes. And I think that's a lot of the work that comes out of working with athletes who become injured is, okay, we're going to take a moment to just pause and grieve what just happened. Because, a lot of times I'll hear athletes say, it's fine, right? Yes. Yeah, I get injured, it's fine. And a lot of people are always asking them, how are you doing? Which,
so that's a natural
response.
So
yes, it's I'm good, right? Which we know you're not good, probably.
Deflect, right?
But also I can understand why you wouldn't want to unload on people every time they ask you how you're doing. But, I think for her, we had to just spend some time with that of, you had this expectation of what things were going to look like. It's not looking like that. How do we help you get back to where you want to be? And so it was a lot of that work early on. And then kind of once there was this acceptance about, okay, here's my injury, and with an ACL tear, as you know, there's the surgery part. There's kind of different stages of that injury. Yeah. So, we saw her through that, the surgery, and then it was the PT part and all the frustrations and mixed feelings that can come with that, because kind of you versus your body and where are things.
And your mental.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
so
trusting your body.
Exactly. And, we talked a lot about the concept of kinesiophobia. So like this fear of movement and fear of re-injury that comes with that, and normalizing that. Yeah. Because as she kind of progressed back to where she was okay to play, mm-hmm. that was a lot of the work. Because yes. There was, of course there was the grieving process. Of course there was, the active, physical therapy side. But then there was this, when I'm all set to go and I'm ready to step back on the court and everybody says I'm ready. My doctors say I'm ready. My AT says I'm ready. I'm the one who has to now be okay and be the one who knows I'm ready.
Yes.
Because that seems to be, in working with this athlete in particular, but also other athletes who've experienced injury, it's their own trust in their body and their mind to be able to do it.
Coach, I had the same thing.
Yeah.
I had the same thing. I'm a smaller person. I played ball, smaller guy, but I can get to the rim easily. Not that I was doing any 360 or behind the back or any crazy stuff like that, but I could get to the rim.
Yeah.
And as a smaller guy, that's it's a big thing for me because it kind of helps me compete with the bigger players. Mm-hmm. But after my knee injury, it wasn't the fear of jumping. It was the fear of coming down, because that's how I heard it. I landed on someone.
Yes.
Just trying to get a rebound. I wasn't even doing anything fancy. And so just the fear of everybody saying that I'm okay, and that you don't need this knee brace anymore. You can continue doing the PT, but your range of motion is where it needs to be. You've been doing the stretching part. There's no swelling. Everything looks good. There's no scar tissue on your skin.
You can have all the evidence.
Okay, cool, great. And you're excited to hear that. And then you get out there and you feel yourself twist or turn one way. You might feel a little bit of snag or a snare, or not really pain, but just you're very conscious of the feelings that you have in that space in your body. And you're like, okay, I'm just going to lay it up. I'm not even going to try. It took me a year to try to dunk again. A whole year. After they said I was okay, a whole year to try to get to the rim again, because I was just so worried.
Right.
Like you said, going through that. It's not the surgery, the PT. It's the time when, for me at first, it was the time when I go home, I'm in a bed, my leg is in this Decepticon type transformer. And I say Decepticon because it's evil.
Yeah.
And it's bending my knee for me.
Right.
Well, I got this cryo cuff on my knee, and they're pumping this fluid, and that pain is just like, oh my God, is this pain ever going to end? This is crazy, and then going from that to them saying, okay, cool, get up and do this. And you're like, wait, what? I was just in a bed.
Yep.
Then you go from, okay, you're healthy, go be your normal self. And it's like, I realized I was very reckless with my body before I got injured. And after I got injured, I was like, I want to be that guy again, but I'm really nervous about it. And it took a long time to get back to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm not alone.
Yes,
I'm not alone.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not alone.
And I will say, and I actually just did some presentations with our students on this,
okay,
about fear and the very real role of fear in sport. And we're speaking to fear as, something that can be really frustrating, but it also, when we take the step back, I try to help athletes understand it is there as a protective mechanism, right? That fear of re-injury is there because your brain processed when you got injured, I don't want to do that again.
Right.
So I'm going to protect you and us from everything that's going to cause that. And so in sport, it can be protective in those ways, but it can also go to the extent of being unhelpful because it makes you hesitate or it makes you not take that chance again. And so what's really challenging with our athletes is when they've experienced an injury like that, and like this athlete I was mentioning, is how to acknowledge, okay, that fear is here, and that's okay. I know that fear is here, and I'm going to do it anyway.
It's so ironic that you use the word fear, because my son plays soccer, okay, and fear is a real thing for him in certain areas of the game.
Yeah,
and he's not had an injury or anything. Just he wants to be perfect. He's a coach's kid, he knows how crazy I am when it comes to the work and the detail and the staying up late at night and not sleeping and, still having to be the best I can be even when I don't feel like it. He understands that. And there's a fear for him sometimes of making mistakes. And I tell him this, and you cannot be a courageous person. You cannot have courage without the absence of the fear. The fear is necessary for you to be courageous.
Absolutely. Brene Brown taught us that for sure.
you must embrace that fear as the challenge that's in front of me. The impediment to progress is whatever's in the way. That is the way. You got to go through it. And oh my goodness, he has done a good job of accepting that, way better than I would have ever done at 10 years old.
Oh, good for him. Yeah.
He plays defense, okay? He plays defense. He's really
what position?
Good at defense. Right back.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And he's really good at obviously not letting the offensive player turn. You know what I mean? Being able not to jab at the ball, but to serve, do his job, to keep him in front. And then he can flip the field with one pass that he can see two passes ahead. Yeah. He has that vision. Okay.
He's got a high IQ then.
Super high IQ, right? Very vocal about what he's doing too, because he's a coach's kid, because I got a big mouth, okay? I can't help it. So he's very vocal on the field too.
Yeah.
And so I see those parts of him, but then they moved him to wing and told him, okay, you got to be a part of the attack. And he was like, I never did that before, Dad. Like, I'm gonna mess up. Like, what? And then what if I'm not back on defense and they score? Like, so the fear of that moving that position for him was a real thing.
Yeah.
And he has embraced it this year. And I credit his coach, Coach Don, for putting him in that uncomfortable situation in a healthy manner.
Yes. And
now he's like, well, you need me to play? I'll play the 9 if you need me to play the 9,
And that's so great because he's built this self-efficacy, right? It's such a huge part of our development and an athlete's development is this belief in I am able to do this. And because he was able to show himself, hey, I pushed through something that was uncomfortable, now he can use that again when he's faced with a situation like that in the sporting world, but also in his life later.
Yeah. So big.
Yeah.
So big, Coach. Okay. So you're helping kids anchor their identity, okay, to something deeper than the likes, than the statistics. That lines up with everything that we talk about in my program, that, those things are nice to have, to go viral, to get a bunch of views and have people comment that you're doing great, or we really like you, or the interest from a college coach, but how do you keep them anchored and grounded into their identity is not just you're the athlete?
Big question.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of components to what you're saying here with it. It's because you're speaking to social media, which is sort of this big thing that we could spend a lot of time
that's a
on.
whole other conversation.
But as far as their identity beyond
Yes.
being an athlete, I think it depends on the athlete, right? I think that in this environment, as you know, there's kind of a range of the reasons why our students are playing, right? And the competitive levels that they're playing at, right? So we have some athletes, and that's why I tend to start a season with a group asking, what is your why?
Yeah.
Why are you here doing this, being on this team, playing this sport? What's the purpose of you being here? Mm-hmm. And it's great to get that insight from them because it helps me to understand. Some of them, I played since I was a kid and I love this, right? Some of them, I want to get a scholarship out of this. Some of them, it's my parents want me to play. Some of them, it's I want to stay in shape, right? So understanding that why gives me sort of a path so that I can have those discussions with them about their athletic identity and where it fits among their other identities. Because for some, there is this part about if you're going to be a D1 athlete, especially at this high school stage, it's going to be a huge part of your identity, this athlete part, because in some ways you could argue that it has to be able to be that exceptional and to make it to that
sacrifice that goes
absolutely
into that.
And so I think for those athletes, we talk a lot about what are the other parts of your identity that can support this, right? A big one for a lot of our athletes is their religion or their faith, right? Or their spirituality. Mm-hmm. Helps them a lot with their kind of athletic pursuits. And so tapping in, I've had conversations with athletes about how to nourish that part of their identity in support of not just sport, but other parts of their life. So I think, again, it really depends on the athlete. I think there's a lot of discussion around athletic identity when injury happens, especially if it's career ending.
Yes.
Okay, so now what, right? And where do we go from here?
Where do I go from here?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot in terms of identity. I think it's athlete dependent. And, the extent to which we have to talk about, is this adaptive or helpful for you to have a really strong sense of athletic identity and kind of captures all of your time and energy?
Oh man.
Or is it maladaptive for you? Is it unhelpful? Is it not good that you're focusing all your time and energy here and nothing else is getting nourishment in your life? So it depends.
That's a big depends.
That's
a big depends. So we have had a lot of conversation on the podcast, and coaches have a lot of conversation about how this generation is different than us when we were athletes, or the generation that came before them, or whatever, and a lot of our kids, like you said, are playing for certain reasons. Might be because maybe a family member wants them to play, maybe because they want a scholarship, maybe because I've been doing this forever, what I mean?
And I love it.
And that's, whatever your why is your why. Mm-hmm. Okay, but understanding that this generation sees the world differently than we see the world. How do you balance the perception from this generation onto what we might perceive as someone a little bit older than them, or from a generation before them? Mm-hmm. How does that conversation, how do you bridge that gap to what their reality is and what someone else reality might be, maybe the coach that's giving them instruction, or the recruit that's looking at them, or whatever the case may be?
Yeah. I want to understand better when you say that this generation's different. What do you mean by that? Because that'll help me guide my answer a little bit.
I mean, here's an example. I'm older than you. I'm a lot older than you. So if a coach asks me to make sure I went to sleep at this time, make sure I went to weight class and gave my best, make sure you ate the right things and be prepared to play the next day. Yes, sir. No questions. I'm hitting it. You know what I mean? We might have the same conversation with an individual this time, and they're like, "Man, coach is really on me." Coaches. I've had an athlete say, "Coach, you don't think I'm gonna be ready, Coach?" I said, "No, it's not that I don't think you're gonna be ready. These are the things that are gonna help prepare you to be your best." And they're like, "Well, I've been doing it this way." It's kind of we have the generation now that is a very relational generation. If you don't have a good relationship with your athletes, they're not going to accept anything that you give them. I don't care how much knowledge you have.
Nope.
It wasn't like that in the past. In the past, it was more of authoritarian.
Right.
It was like, do it because I said do it, and do it the way I saw you do it in my head.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
And this athlete isn't like that.
Yeah.
So how do you help them? How do you help them, for the coaches that are trying to give them what they need to be successful? Sometimes they don't hear what we say, or maybe the way that we say it isn't the best. So how do you help the athlete, and how do you help the coach bridge the gap?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, you know, one of the things I like about the rising generation right now is their question of authority,
Yes.
right? It's a
Their
really
why.
huge, yes, because I think there can be that rub there because it's because I said so. There's this defensiveness from maybe an older generation that's, they're talking back to me or whatever it might be, right? And I can respect that there's that difference of what you're describing. And I also have to love that why am I doing this? What is the purpose of this, right? And I think in my work with them, I try to focus on giving them that purpose up front. And when I start a talk with them, it's a quick one-liner of, this is going to help you fill in the blank, right? This is going to help with focus and attention. This is going to help with your confidence. This is what we're working on. Remember, this is the framing we're using for this semester. This is what that supports. Here's where that plugs in. Now let's go. Let's try it, right? So I think that the upfront purpose, the why we're doing this, gives them, it kind of, it helps you to avoid that resistance, right? Because it gives them that why. This is why. This is where, and I think also connecting it, at least in my work, I like to connect it to, what do the pros do? What do the best in your sport do? And by giving them a why, and here's somebody who you look up to, who inspires you, right? Here's your example. It connects those two things. So those are kind of keys to how I support our athletes and why are we doing this? What is this for? This feels, trivial, or this doesn't feel like it's going to help me, or whatever it might be. But when you connect it that way, and you have that relationship, I like that you pointed that out, because you have to have that rapport, that relationship with them, or none of it's going to stick.
For me, I try to, like you said, I try to show them the end result, or tell them what the end result will be.
Yeah.
So, for example, just yesterday we have a game today. Okay. We were in practice, and we're doing small group work with our individual groups that we have pods or whatever. So I took my pod and I found a specific iteration of what I wanted those guards to do in the game, exactly like this college Power 5 team. It's ranked number 1 in the country. Is doing last night. So I took the video, 45-second video, because that's how they consume information, like TikTok. Less than a minute.
Got to keep it short.
All of my film this year has been less than a minute. 7 clips of less than a minute, comment on each clip, just like you do TikTok, just like you do Instagram, whatever the case may be. So I'm trying to adapt to them. This is what it looks like. Here's the end result. Okay, then we go right out to the court after watching that quick clip, and we go, and this is the process to get to that. This is why I say 2 dribbles or 1 dribble. Or this is what it looks like when you're at that level with the expectations, and you can still be effective. It can still look great, and it can still be a ooh and a ah if you take this. So here's the result. Here's the process. We're doing this to get to that. There's the why. And so the drill is intense, and it's aggressive, and I'm going to use my body, and it changed everything, right?
How cool to see it happen like that in real time.
And so I go back and watch the practice film, and I'm like, she got that footwork. And I tried to explain that footwork to her last year, and I was doing it the wrong way. It's because, like, a self-evaluation for me as a coach, like, they're not digesting it the way that I would have digested it. I have to adjust and give her the why, give her the process and the end result of what she could look like, what it could be. So that's why I asked you that question. I feel like this year that has helped me tremendously to take the process of what they would like things to turn out as and show them the finished product, what you said you liked and wanted, and here's the blueprint of how we're going to get there. And we got to be on one accord. We got to have a good relationship. We got to push each other. We got to hold each other accountable along the way to get to that. And they've grasped that tremendously. You know, are we perfect at it? No, not yet. No, no,
that's okay.
Lost a couple games on the weekend.
That's all right.
Not perfect at it. But you see those flashes of that's something that we worked on. It's sinking in. We're just not efficient at it yet. You know, so super proud of them for that. So,
absolutely.
Okay, Coach, got a couple philosophy and approach questions for you, because we're on approach right now.
Indeed.
We're on approach. Okay.
Indeed.
Give me your top 3 struggles or mental or emotional battles that you have seen over your time practicing uh, in our student athletes right now, just in not just here but just in the world? If you could name a top three, what you see most common?
Most common. They all kind of blend together as far as the topics, but fear, like we talked about.
Okay.
Fear,
Yep.
for sure. Confidence,
Confidence.
especially for our high school athletes. That is the number one thing across every app. I surveyed them at the beginning of the year and discussed, and asked them what topics are important to you, what would help you build your game.
Yeah.
And confidence was there in every class.
And this is men and women.
Both, yes. And then, so fear, confidence, and I don't know, those are kind of what feel like they boil it down to is fear and confidence. And then I'd say, I think those are kind of the biggest ones. If there's a third, I'll think of it. But
if there's a third that I've encountered just from my conversations with my kids, it's acceptance.
Say more.
Other people's acceptance of their efforts, good or bad, they want to know. Like, that's why the likes are so important.
So almost it's like the social aspect, the social comparison, or the social.
No, this is so funny. Okay, so I'm writing a book right now called The Disease of Left and Right. Okay, about how other people's perception of you can distract you, or other people's lives or what they got going on can distract you from all the great things that are in front of you. Those obstacles that are in front of you that are built to help you elevate in your path on your jersey, help you climb the mountain that's in front of you. But we're so busy looking left and right that we're tripping over those steps that's supposed to help us elevate.
Social media in a nutshell, I think, is what that is.
And the fear is a big part of it, and the confidence is a big part of it, and the acceptance. Because you could be doing great, but if somebody else says that, oh man, you really struggled with that game. I struggled with that game. No, in actuality, you did pretty well. Especially for where you are. You might be a sophomore or freshman and you're playing varsity, and you think that you should be doing this, but that's that number you have in your head is a pie in the sky number or an anomaly, like something that LeBron did when he was in high school. We all can't be. I wish. But we all can't be, that guy, or we all can't be Asia Wilson or Paige Beckers or Caitlin Clark. Like, those numbers are not our numbers now in this point of our life, but we see that. And because we're the best at our school or we're the best in our conference, we're like, I should be that. So even the top players are having this same thing, that left and right, on whatever team it is. And I've seen it in all of our sports. My son's team, he's got a kid on his team. He's immaculate. The kid is amazing. He's like, I'm not good enough. You're 10, bro. Like, you're 10. Like, you're not going to be a finished product.
And I think that there's something to be said about because there's parsing that out, being the idea that I'm not good enough. Again, we come back to, is it helpful or is it unhelpful to you? Because I think when you look at the greats, there's a lack of satisfaction with their play, right? Meaning that they're never satisfied. You hear that a lot, right? With the greats, it's, okay, we won a Super Bowl, or, we won the NBA championship, but there's more to do. Or, we go back to work after that, right?
Like in those press conferences, they're saying,
especially through a playoff run, right? Especially through a playoff run, it's the post game interview or whatever it might be. It's, you did great on this, and then they're always coming back with, but we need to do better at this. We need to strengthen this, And I think that is in some ways an ingredient for greatness, because you need to be never satisfied. You need to keep pushing, right? The trouble is when it becomes unhelpful to you. And is it that you're doing that social comparison game, or you're getting all that outside noise from left and right, and it's impacting your performance, right? That's when it becomes unhelpful, is when I'm not good enough, and then that's affecting you by the self-talk that you have. Is that I'm not good enough going to push you to be better, or is it getting in your way? Because I think both can be true, but it's evaluating with the individual athlete. Is it helpful or is it not helpful?
you saying that specifically, you said, is it helpful or not? It makes me flash back to this interview with Kevin Garnett when he was with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Big John, Coach Big John, he was interviewing him, and Garnett was having an amazing year that year. I mean, him individually was killing. I mean, he was killing the league.
Yeah.
And in the interview, he is in tears. He had to stop the interview multiple times just to compose himself and apologize. Big John, I'm sorry you got to see me like this. But yeah, all these stats is cool and everything, but we lose it. And he put all the weight on his shoulders. And he said it was my fault and I got to be better. And he said it's about us. It's about, oh my goodness. And you talk about the greatest athletes not being satisfied, but using it the right way. How do our kids use it the right way? What does that look like for the athlete that walks in your office and that needs to know, okay, you might need to work in this area, that area, but this is how we get there mentally so that you don't beat yourself up, because that's a big thing that we have, is to beat ourselves up.
Yeah.
Give me a step, coach. If that's me, talk to me.
Yeah.
You know, here's an example. I'm trying to be better for my team. Okay. Coach me. Okay. Because I feel like, man, we're not rebounding like we need to do, or maybe we're not communicating like we need to do. And it's my fault because I'm not teaching it the right way. Talk me off the ledge, you know?
So there's something I was working with our students on, was teaching them, because what we're talking about, you know, in terms of the I'm not good enough, it's a thought process. It's kind of our cognitive side of things. And that could be, when I was talking to the students about fear, we were talking about fear showing up in two different ways. It's cognitive or it's physiological. So it's in the body or it's in the mind. And so when it shows up, what does it sound like for you, right? So for you, what I'm not good enough might sound like is?
We just gave up 4 offensive rebounds in the same possession. And we're in position to rebound, but we're not actively acting in the moment. We're being spectators instead of participators. And I've worked on this. We've practiced this. We've talked about this. We've watched it on film, but it's not clicking for my team. So something I'm doing wrong to not get that response from them. That's what it looks like for me.
Okay. Because so there's this 3-step kind of process that I walked our students through, and I heard it originally on a podcast with Michael Gervais, who's a high-performance psychologist, and I think it's Amy Edmondson.
I got to look this
Michael
up.
Gervais,
Michael Gervais,
high-performance psychologist, and then Amy Edmondson, I believe is her name, and she actually has written books on failure.
Gotcha.
And she was sharing a strategy that's called Stop, Challenge, Choose. And so it's something I'm teaching our student athletes slowly but surely, and it's a practice.
Yes.
Just like everything in the work that I do, I always tell our athletes, if I could wave a wand and give you all the tools, my position wouldn't exist, right?
Yes.
And, you know, but it's just like our physical, you know, abilities, we have to grow our kind of cognitive or our mental abilities in terms of our performance. And so Stop, Challenge, Choose is really you are having these ideas, these thoughts, right, of failure. So like this, I'm not good enough, and whatever it sounds like for you, right? You just shared what it is for you. It is different for every athlete. And when you're having that and you're noticing this is kind of getting in the way, this is maybe unhelpful, you stop, right? And you just take a breath. And you notice that you're doing it. You notice that your thoughts are going this way, right? And the challenge part is the second step. So after you take that stop, you notice and you breathe, right? It kind of gets into the mindfulness side of things, right? You challenge and you ask 3 questions, which are, is this helpful? Is it healthy? And is it accurate?
Ooh, that's good.
And so it's stopping, taking that breath, and just examining, kind of almost being a spectator to your mind. And you're saying, is it helpful? So you go through it. You say, is this helpful to me? Right? So in your case, if there's a repetitive thought of not being good enough, you evaluate, is it helpful?
No.
Okay. And why?
Because you should have positive self-talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And in that specific case, is it helpful to you when you're talking about, you know, the rebounding and everything that you were describing to me?
You mean as a program?
Yeah. Is it helpful to you to be constantly thinking, I'm not good enough?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Is it healthy for you?
Yeah.
And why not?
Because you are what you think. You are what you think.
And is it accurate? This is the tricky one.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay.
You know, but
and this is where, you know, it kind of gets right, because I think there can be truth in some of our fears, right? And some of our self-talk, right? That is maybe unhelpful, but there can be a thread of truth. Like when I have athletes tell me, I'm afraid I'm going to break my leg, or I'm afraid I'm going to hurt myself, or I'm afraid that I'm going to fail. There could be threads of truth in that, right? And that could be very real. And then this is that part where we talked about courage earlier in our discussion, is that it's, okay, there might be accuracy in this, and I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to take that step and do it anyway. And so that's kind of the challenge step, where you're evaluating your thought. And then the choose is, can I choose a thought that's going to be more helpful, more healthy for me, and more accurate maybe, that can help me succeed? So I think, in this example, right, for you, what might that sound like?
So basically, go back and review what I did to prepare for this season and see, did I take the steps to be prepared for this? So, for example, I went to multiple colleges this summer, and I studied certain things that I think that we need to add to our team. Everybody was one of them, you know what I mean? So I prepared for it. I sat down and I figured out how it works for our team, and then I've been applying it, and maybe it's just not the result yet.
Yeah, I like that. And I like that you use the word yet. Right?
Oh,
Power of yet.
I'm not giving up.
Power of yet, absolutely.
We have to get better, and I know that it works because the 3 programs that I went and studied those things for, they were known for those things. And I mean, you saw when I came in and opened my laptop, I'm on a coach's clinic right there. Right when I walk in. I'm constantly trying to get better. So
and that, you speak to something that I share with athletes a lot, that is, you're looking at your evidence bag. So when you're evaluating, is this healthy, helpful, or accurate, you're checking out your evidence bag and saying, wait, my thoughts are saying I'm not good enough, and also I can look over here at my evidence bag and say, here's all the evidence that says I am, and that I can do this. There was a sports psych, one of the first conferences I ever went to, Dr. Jamie Shapiro, and she shared that right before so basically when she worked with Olympians, right before they were about to go out and perform, she would do something with them where she would say, you're ready, tell me why. And they would have to fire back just a couple of reasons why they were ready. It's sort of this evidence bag, right? I know I'm throwing a lot at you.
No, this is great. This is great.
I like that a lot.
I might steal it.
Please do. Because it's sort of this reappraisal of, okay, we're switching from this negative self-talk or this unhelpful self-talk, because I like to parse those out, because sometimes negative self-talk, some people benefit from it, right? They might just be like, come on, right? And maybe that sounds negative to some people, but sometimes that's helpful to them, right? So
everybody's different.
Right, exactly. And for her, it was getting them to start thinking, what is the evidence? Where can I point to that says that I'm ready for this moment? Give me 2 or 3 things, ready, go. And then it just allows us to be in this moment of, okay, I am prepared for this, because our fear brain wants to protect us and is in there going, what if we mess up? What if we fail? What if all this is for nothing? Especially for an Olympian who's trained 4 years, but also our student athletes, right? The same thing.
In front of your peers.
Exactly.
We have kids from multiple sports who conversations are, I don't like playing at home. Why do you not like playing at home? Because I got to play in front of all my parents, all my friends from school are there. They get in the game for free now. Wait, you've been working. I'm in the weight room with you right now. You've been killing it. You're doing good. I mean, man, dude, you're squatting this much, man. I've seen you. You're gonna kill him that line next week. And like just trying to. But like you said, it's that negative talk. So those questions. Give me 2 things why you're ready for this.
You're ready. Tell me why.
Tell me why.
And I try to encourage them to give it confidently. Because, oh well, I train. Whatever that might sound like. No. Get in your power pose and tell me why you're ready. Right?
So body language. You talk about power pose. Body language is a big thing, Coach. So how do you approach when you're having your positive self-talk, when you're going through something live in that moment? How big is body language to help you through that?
It's huge. I mean, especially calling it out. I mean, in my work, we're trained to call out the here and now, what's happening with us, right? And with my athletes, when I'm working with them, I'll ask them those kinds of questions, right? I've worked with athletes where we're trying to go through, like a gymnast or a cheerleader, for example, and we're trying to go through a skill that's not landing, that they have and they've lost or whatever it might be. And it's trying to build back that confidence that they're able to do it and drawing from that evidence bag. But when they share with me, I go, what do you want to say to yourself that's different than what you're saying now? What's a more helpful way to say this? And it'll be, well, I guess I can do it, right? and they're kind of in this almost slouched approach of, I guess I got it, and I go, okay, I'm going to mirror for you what you just did, right? And I'll kind of play back what they did, and I'll say, how does this look to you? Does this look, and
is it believable?
And right, and then they know immediately. They almost start laughing of just, no, definitely not confident, no. So I say, okay, let's redo that. Let's try this again, and really feel into it, right? Feel into the words, believe the words. I want your body to look like they're living the words, right? And so it's such a cool turnaround. And then we both know when they've got it, right? There's this click that happens where I have them do it. Sometimes I'll have them stand up in office too, and just, okay, you're about to do it. So, and then they'll say it with conviction that they're ready. And then that was it, right? And then it's me calling out to them, how did that feel for you? Because I saw that seemed like it was it. What did you think, right? And then that was it.
Positive self-talk is so powerful, and I've seen so many top athletes do it.
Oh yeah.
They have clips on social media. Like sometimes people are mic'd up and they're in a game and they're literally talking. You're gonna get this. You're gonna get this next sack. You're gonna get this next sack. You're gonna get this next sack. Or I'm gonna do this. So they're talking about their steps. Like I saw an Olympian. She was talking about her steps, talking about her approach to hurdles, I believe, or her approach to long jump. I can't remember which one it was.
A great recent example was Mookie Betts in the last play of the World Series. He in the post-game interview, someone asked him, okay, what was going through your mind? And mind you, he's in a new position in this season, I believe. And he said to himself, be nasty. And he made the last play of the World Series. Like that was, and I just love that because that was it was just him speaking to self-talk to, what you're saying. And I love that because it's just such a great example of hype yourself up. How are you going to make this happen?
You
have
to be your biggest hype man. You really have
You're
to
the only one who can, really.
There's only one you.
Yes.
And and the ins and outs of that person. You got to be like, man, I'm perfect the way I'm made. I would tell my kids, God doesn't make a lot of mistakes, okay? I'm a man of faith, but he didn't make mistakes. So if he made you that way, it's for a purpose. Man, thrive in that purpose. Embrace that purpose. Share that person. If you got a gift, it's not for you, it's for you to give other people.
Yes. Yeah.
So he don't make mistakes.
Nope.
Share it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And I love that because it speaks to also helping our athletes identify what their role is on a team. Because not everyone is going to be the starter, the star, the whatever it might be. And I think helping them to identify what is my role and embracing that role and knowing that they can give value and that they matter on the team is huge.
That's probably one of the biggest or the hardest things for a coach is to help them embrace the role that they have earned. And I say earned because me personally, I don't like to put a kid in a box. I want you to be your natural self as long as you can show that you can do it consistently. If you can't do it consistently, let's find what you do consistently and put our arms around that until we lift the part of your game that you want to lift to what you have, the yet mindset. You want to be this 3-point shooter from the volleyball line. I'm cool with that. But we're not there yet. We got to put in a little bit more reps to get there. So until we put in those reps, this one dribble pull-up is really good for you. You should have a very high percentage of that. Let's roll with that while we work on this. So this is behind closed doors. This is in public. And getting them to embrace that is probably the biggest challenge because the mindset of some is like, coach doesn't trust me or coach doesn't believe in me. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what you have shown in practice, what you have shown in games says that you're not ready for that yet. So until we can get you there, I'm not telling you not to shoot. I'm just telling you to shoot like this. That role part. Or I'm just telling you to be a great defender. That's what you do well. Or you're our best rebounder. You are our best rebounder. Nobody out rebounds you. So embrace that. You know what I mean? While we work on these other parts of your game, Or there might just be somebody who does it better. Everybody can't play quarterback, right?
Yes.
You got one quarterback on a football team of 100 guys. There's a lot of people who want to play quarterback. And when they play pickup ball, they're like, I'm all-time quarterback. You know what I mean? But when the game's on the line,
when it comes to it,
it's only one of those guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? Same situation. So getting to embrace that is super, super hard. So let's talk about identity beyond jersey because we talked on that a little bit earlier real quick. All right, a lot of kids identify, and get wrapped up in being the athlete. Get wrapped up in, that's just, I'm the ball player, I'm the cheerleader, I'm the wrestler, whatever the sport might be, okay? When a kid gets injured or is not playing, either one. So you're injured or coach isn't playing you for whatever reason. Maybe you coming back from an injury. Maybe you aren't as good as the next young man or young lady. You know what I mean? How do you help them separate from who they are from what they do? Like, you play sports, but that doesn't mean you're just an athlete. How do you help them separate that?
That's a good question. I think it's one that, again, like I was mentioning earlier, it's really athlete dependent. Because, and I think before you jump to, helping them understand that difference, I think it's, especially with injury, like I was mentioning before, having them have an opportunity to mourn, that part of their identity in the present moment. Because I think, rushing them to, what are you doing outside of this? Or who are you outside of this? How are we going to get right? That can be really well intended, and then it can really land poorly, and you could totally destroy a rapport with somebody if you jump too fast to that, I think.
Okay.
Because I think, especially from the jump, when an athlete gets injured, there's just going to be this part where you're just sitting with them in that,
grief
in that grief, and there's that, you're in the trenches with them in that, right? Like you're just, and especially with my job, I mean, it'll be different depending on our relationship with the athlete, right? Like as a coach, it might be different. It's, in my position, it might be different. As a parent, it's different. I think a huge part of what I do in my first step of that is just allowing them to kind of fall apart if they need to, around what that identity means to them, and now it's gone. And, and so I think that's a huge first step. And so once we've done a lot of, and we don't want to get stuck there, of course, right? So that's kind of the part you're speaking to, is we don't want to get stuck in, okay, wallowing in the injury, and how does it, because that can keep us stuck for sure. So when it's in for me, it's kind of gauging through that rapport and that relationship. Okay, now I'm feeling like we can push a little more, especially if we're moving through and we're coming back from injury, and maybe that's a better time to go, okay, now there's sort of light at the end of this tunnel.
Yes.
And it's not career ending, especially in those situations. It's not career ending. So now we kind of shift our focus to getting you back. And I also try to evaluate with them, is that your goal? Is that what you want?
Is this what you really want?
Right. Is that what you want? Because there might be a lot of pressure, a lot of talk from left and right, as you mentioned, for you to come back. Now, is that what you want? And so sometimes we need to, in my role, I'm having those hard conversations with them. I want to make sure, is this what you want? Because if not, then we need to take a different direction.
I always tell my girls, if you're not happy and you're not okay, then nothing else matters.
Right.
Like, nothing else matters. Nothing I can say or teach you or put you through, if you're not happy inside with where you are or who you are or what you're doing, doesn't matter.
Right. And so I think, with parsing out those things, I think with an athlete, once you're kind of in that phase where you can do that work, and I guess, if it is career ending, for example, in those conversations about who are you beyond athletics, it starts with just having them explore, what are their other identities? Is that something? And sometimes I'll just talk to them about it, of, sport is something you're stepping away from now, or this is, what has this been like for you? Just asking questions about that. And also, I ask questions and I inquire about, what are the things beyond sport right now, that you're putting your energy into, or that are helpful to you in this moment. And that can be really telling what they share in that, because, for an athlete who's really involved in other aspects of their life, it's sort of an evaluation of, okay, they've got some good supports, they've got some other identities that they can lean on in this time, right? And so it's sort of taking that temperature check on them. If I have an athlete who's just, I don't know, right? They don't know anything beyond this, then that's really also good information for me of, okay, wow, so here we are, athletics was everything, you're absolutely crushed by this. Where do we start to help you build beyond that? What is your new role going to look like? How can we reimagine a new role that works for you, that you're happy with, and that's going to be fulfilling to you?
Right. It's going to make you happy.
Yes.
It's going to make you, put you in the right space.
Yeah. And for some athletes, for example, that might be becoming the manager of the team, because they could still be involved. It can be when you're looking to, either your professional career or other things, it can be imagining, what role are you going to play down the line? Are you going to maybe become a coach? Are you going to do, all of those different things? So I think, sorry, we good?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Text messages.
All good. So I think, parsing those things out. I think the first step is really giving them that grieving. Second being, okay, asking them the question of who are you outside of this, because, and explaining the why, back to what we were talking about of why it's important to evaluate that. Because if you have such role engulfment in your athletic identity and nothing else matters, then when it's taken away from you, they just pulled the rug out from under you, right? And so that is going to be a huge predictor of some poor mental health outcomes and physical health outcomes and maladaptive coping and things like that. So I think that in my job, I try to evaluate what supports do they have, outside of this athletic identity. And then if they don't have any, we're building them together. And what other things can we do to help you? And if they do have them, how do we enhance those? How do we let those come to the forefront? Those can take the mic and you can lean into those identities that you identify with outside of this. So
That's awesome. I mean, I would never know how in depth that conversation was, Coach. That's a big part of some people that I know that are adults that still struggle with that. You know what I mean? And kind of still or try to live vicariously through their kid.
Surely.
Yes. And then you see, as a coach, you see the effect that it's had on the child because the parents trying to live through the kid. And maybe, like you said, your first question you asked was, what do you want? Like, that's so big. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Oh, man.
And it can be tricky, right? It can be a tricky place to go.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Oh, yeah. Super sticky situation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I got some quick fire questions to ask you real quick. Okay. Well, we've been going for a minute, Coach. I didn't mean to.
Oh, wow.
We got into some good stuff.
Look at that.
Great conversations. We might have to do a part 2. Coach.
All right. I'm open to that.
All right. So this is specifically for the community. So when you answer these questions, my questions, you speak to the coaches out there, speak to the parents and players out there.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So let's start with get them ready. Yeah. Right. So let's start with who our focus is the athlete. Okay. All right. Start talking to our student athletes for a second, and they're listening right now, okay, and they feel overwhelmed. I mean, all my kids say sometimes they're just overwhelmed with school or expectations and AAU and all these other things. What is one thing, okay, that you want that student athlete to hear, no matter who he or she is? What is one thing you can give to that student athlete? Tough question. Sorry,
that is a tough question.
I threw one out there at you. My bad.
Yeah. That they're
just
overwhelmed.
An overwhelmed student athlete.
Something that I want that athlete to know is that you're overwhelmed, and I hear that, and that's tough. That's challenging. It can be really challenging to balance all that you have to do, and I think as a student athlete in your position, it can be overlooked, all the things that you're responsible for in your academic life, your athletic life, your personal life. So I want to honor that and witness that here, that you're overwhelmed. And yes, there's a reason for that. And that's completely valid. Yeah. And you are capable of handling it. And those tools are within you. And I think, in the work that I do, it's all about helping you, in tandem, helping you to recognize those tools and to bring them out and let them guide you, because they're in you. It's just a matter of finding out how to access them. And, in my work with you, if you're an athlete that I get to work with, we can do that together, is to kind of look and search and explore where are those tools and how can I bring them out, because they're in you. You already have them. We just have to find them.
That's a great answer. Coach. Oh my goodness. And what's one thing you wish every kid on campus believed about themselves?
I'd say I want every kid on campus to believe that they matter, that they have value, that they add value to their circles, whether that be in their family, whether that be in their friend groups or their team, that they matter.
Yeah. I always say I always want them to know that you're enough, just the way you are. You're enough, just in the way you are. Everything that you need is internally, like you said, it's those tools that's inside it's to pull it out, so you can share that gift, so you can be great, you know what I mean, in every aspect of your life, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and all the experiences that you've had in your life up to this point have given you those tools in some way. They might be, down deeper for some than others, but I think, they're there and they're accessible.
So what advice for the parents listening, that knows that their kid is struggling? Mom and dad, your little one is just in a rough patch right now, whether it be whatever they're facing athletically, or maybe it's with schoolwork or whatever it might be, hurting your mental health. But that parent doesn't want to push too hard. That parent doesn't want to like say, "Oh, toughen up," or you'll be all right. What advice do you give that parent? What do they do next?
Yeah. I want to, full disclosure, I'm not a parent yet.
Yeah.
I always like to say that caveat because I think my answer will change when I become a parent.
Yeah.
I want to just, again, acknowledge that that's tough to watch I imagine it's really tough to watch your kid struggle. And it can be a painful process as a parent to watch a kid especially have mental health challenges or difficulties, and you just want to wrap them up and tell them it's going to be okay, especially our teenagers, because they're so impacted by the evils of the social world.
And we had that fear that they're about to grow up and just be an adult, and I want to make sure that I prepare you and make sure I'm loving on you enough that I'm still here.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes at that age they're kind of pull away a little bit.
Of course, and that's a natural part of it, and also a healthy part to pull away a little bit. It's kind of, they're in their social era right now. But I think, what I'll say is a huge thing is going to be balancing challenge and support, and that can be a tricky balance, of course, in whatever role we have in our student athletes' lives. But I think, evaluating that, doing some self-reflection about how well am I balancing challenge and support, right? Am I giving them that foundation of love and support and all the things that they need from me as their parent, and knowing that I love them unconditionally no matter how well they play on the court, right? And also challenging them, because there's a term that I really like. It's called anti-fragile. So anti-fragility. It was who was it? Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He came up with this idea of anti-fragility, and it's the whole concept of preparing the child for the road, not the road for the child, kind of thing, right?
Wait a minute, time out. Whoa. I have a saying, Coach.
Yeah.
It's prepare the child for the path.
Mm-hmm.
Do not clear the path for the child.
Right, exactly. Same energy. Yes.
That messed me up when you said that. What?
Yeah. So he's really about how, yes, we want to create challenge, because that's how we grow. And he talks about the concept of anti-fragility and how we want our kids to be anti-fragile, right? And we want them to be able to take a situation and know, I'm going to get stronger from this. And they need adversity to be able to handle it later in life, right? Of course, that is a huge part. So I'm not saying that you rescue them from every ailment or anything that could hurt them or anything that could be uncomfortable for them. So I think that's where support, support is important, and also you don't want to do that. So that's where the challenge comes in, which is balancing, okay, how do I still support that they know they're loved, so they have a safe haven here, but they can go out and they can explore and they could, get hurt and they can do these things, but that they still have that strong foundation. Yeah. So I think, the biggest thing with that is loving on them and also allowing them to be challenged. And if you're seeing it to where it's, their mental health is a serious concern, I think that's where I would definitely recommend outside consultation support. That's another
those red
part
flags,
of it. Of course, if those red flags are happening, I can be a resource if they're here in our environment, or seeking out other mental health professional support can be really, or the resources that you might have access to in your schools or in your communities. But I think those are some of my ideas. Again, not a parent, but those are some ideas.
I used a sea turtle this year, mother sea turtle, laying her eggs on the beach, leaving them at a certain depth, for a certain temperature, in a certain space, for that child to develop and grow safely. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's our schools. That's my vision of our high school. But when she hatches or he hatches, they all hatch about the same time. Mm-hmm. It's about 100 babies in there, and they're all in the dark under sand. I'd imagine there's not a lot of oxygen while you're climbing with your brothers and sisters up out of this sand trying to get to the surface. And when you get there, there's all these predators trying to kill you. There's all these obstacles in front of you before you get to the ocean, the rocks and the sticks and just all these things. And as a parent, our first reaction would be to help you along. Mm-hmm. So what I did this year was I opened my practices up a few times a month actually. Come in. I want it to be the hardest practice of the year, and I want you to see your child struggle. I want you to see her go through this drill and maybe have to find a trash can every one practice or another, because she's pushed herself past that comfort level, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And see your kid struggle in a healthy environment, that she's supported, that she's getting affirmations, but we are challenging her physically to be better, to grow through some pain, right? As the visual of a sea turtle, you seeing a sea turtle hatch and going down the beach, and you want to swat everything away. Teach them how to navigate the world that they're about to go into, because when they get in that ocean, no one can police that.
Yes.
And the world is an ocean.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of predators. There's going to be a lot of things. There's going to be a lot of currents. There's going to be a lot of storms that are unforeseen, that we have to prepare our kids for here now while they're with us, as a parent, as a coach, as a teacher, whatever, that sea turtle struggle is the same thing that I was just, this is wild, because we, I think we've talked about it a little bit, but when you said the path thing, that still messed me up. That messed me up, Coach. Okay, last one, Coach.
Yes,
last one.
yes.
Advice for coaches. Okay, so if a coach, is listening from another school, maybe a coach that's been there for years or been coaching for years, or maybe a first-year coach. Okay, they don't have it. They don't have a Coach Nina at their school. They don't have someone like you on their campus. Where do they start in trying to be better in this part of development of our children, the mental health space? What do they start with? Do they start with the education piece? Do they start with reaching out to someone like yourself or an institution that has how? Like, what do they do, Coach? How would you? What advice would you give that coach?
I think first step in all of it is going to be awareness. And self-reflection, because if you can practice some self-awareness and self-reflection, I think that's huge, because it can help you evaluate what's going well, what needs improvement, and how do I do that. So kind of the good, better, how, kind of 3 questions to ask yourself, because as a coach, I think, if you're new to it, you're like a sponge. So you're not set in your ways. Maybe you're trying to learn where's my best approach, and being okay with not knowing all the answers, and also reflecting on what has worked when I've been an athlete under a coach, and what do I want to emulate out of the things that have worked, and maybe what do I want to kind of leave behind of the things that didn't work. So I think having some of that reflection and being aware of what are your strengths, so evaluating your strengths, and maybe the areas that you want to improve on, or the things that you feel like you're missing. And so I think by having that critical evaluation, I'll say for our new coaches, that can help you start with, okay, what are the things I'm missing? And then that starts into that education piece of how can I seek out resources. For me, it's like books and podcasts and other people who are doing what I want to be doing, or, I listen to them, because I want kind of almost a blueprint for how do I get there, and what are the things that I really vibe with that they're saying that I could probably try to implement. So that specifically for our new coaches. And then I think for seasoned coaches also, I would imagine when you're doing something for a long time, there's this like, I've done it and it's had success, especially if you have had success. And also being open to, I can always be a learner. I can always, expand and learn from, someone else in my position, or just having an open mind to, because I'm sure for a lot of coaches out there, if you've done it for a long time, you're really good at what you do, most likely. That's why you are where you are. And so are there small tweaks? Are there things where, again, as I talk to my athletes, you don't have to be doing poorly to keep learning, or to keep, challenging yourself or growing. So I think the same thing, seeking out education, seeking out, what is working for other coaches. What do I want to try on in my own practice? I think in the mental health sphere, there's a lot of resources, right? I think, books and podcasts are huge. Also, just maybe in your communities, there might be other professionals kind of doing this work around sport performance, finding them, connecting with them. But I think it's a lot of initiative that comes from within, that you can lean on in those, if you're trying to kind of get better at these things. But I think just starting there with those kinds of resources, and then a lot of self-awareness, I think, and self-reflection, and just continually being open to how can I get better, and having that mindset that we ask our athletes to have, but also as the coach, having that being okay with, I can learn something too.
Being okay with I can learn something too. I want to give you your flowers, Coach. I know the energy that my team has after they have spent a 30-minute session with you, and I always welcome you in our practices and everything like that. But when we have set time for them, their excitement about the little things, um, it helps you as a coach reach them. They go through stuff too. I mean, as an adults, we go through stuff. We have to be professional and be on our best game no matter what. But they're children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're in high school, but they're kids, they're babies,
Mm-hmm.
And I always said that I wanted to make sure that my approach was the right way, honest, but with love.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't want to win a state championship if I break a kid in the process.
Right. Yeah.
Because that kid's broken forever.
Mm.
And this trophy or this ring, it doesn't mean anything if I hurt a child.
Mm-hmm.
And there are programs that do that the kid is a means to an end. The kid is the trophy.
Yeah.
I get to be their coach.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it. But you came in our practice last week, and me and my staff, we went to go have our meeting while you did your thing. We didn't want to be in the way. We wanted them to have a safe space to really connect with you and with each other in that 30-minute session.
Yeah.
And we had a great practice.
I'm glad to hear that.
And I asked some of our leaders on the team, like, how was working with Coach? Oh, that was great. We're gonna do that one again. Yeah, we're gonna do it again. Oh man, we gotta do that. We gotta do that all the time, Coach. I wish he was here last year too. And I was like, I wish she was here last year too as well. I said, but she's here now, so we're gonna use as much as we can. So I want to give you your flowers.
Thank you.
Your work is so important. In the next 5 to 10 years, I mean, what do you want to see? What you're doing? Not just here at Decatur Central, but just what do you want to see your field? What does that look like to you in a dream situation with AI and everything added and all this other fancy stuff? Like, give me Space Cadet. Give me something that scares us. What does your mental health profession look like for the athlete across the world?
Wow.
Pie in the sky. Give it to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think our reach is just bigger, I think that's where it starts, is having our reach be much bigger than it is, and I think that, and continuing to spread awareness about this. And when I say reach being bigger, it's that we're working with our youth, and we're starting with them so that these concepts, as they become, older athletes and they're, more elite athletes, that they already have some foundational tools. Like, this isn't a foreign language when they get to college and there's a sport performance psychologist in there talking to them. We're starting earlier. And I know that can be a challenge in our field because, again, like I said, I think, it's not the sexy part of sport and performance work that everyone kind of jumps in and thinks, oh, I'm going to work with a professional team, or I'm going to work with Olympians, right? But I think that there's work to be done in the younger generations to sort of support them so that the word is getting out, and also that we're just helping them optimize early on, helping them get tools to optimize their performance outcomes, but also their well-being. So I think that spread continues to be wide. I think that I love that we can have this opportunity to sit and talk, because I think that these, podcasts and just the way that information is so available now, it's breaking down some of those barriers, and it's more accessible to people than ever to know this information, to understand it. So I think, that's what I see for our field, is just continuing to expand, continuing to push ourselves to be out there speaking out about this and supporting our athletes, because, it's huge for them.
My hope and prayer is that when people think of mental health, they don't think of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't think that only my kid doesn't really need that because my kid's happy, or my kid's successful, or my player or my program is good. We win all the time.
Right.
Like, I want this to be just like you want a nutritionist as a professional athlete, just like you want a strength and conditioning coach, just like you want the trainer that
for sure.
This is a big part of what we need for our kids to be great people. Mm-hmm. You're a person before you're an athlete.
Yes.
And I wish that's my prayer, is that this becomes the norm. Mm-hmm. There's a Coach Nina in every school, maybe not as good as you, but there's a Coach Nina in every school, okay? So that our kids are supported.
Yeah.
I always think of wherever I am, especially as a coach, when God says it's time for me to move on, did I leave it better than I find it?
Mm-hmm.
And I have sons. So me as a black man especially, is the perception of me as a man something that would be acceptable if my son walked in a room and they said, your father was Nic Carothers? Mm-hmm. Are they holding my son to the standard that I have set? Am I leaving him a better place than I live in now? Mm-hmm. Because of my actions now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I stood for now, who I helped now, who mm-hmm. I represent now, you know? Mm-hmm. Man, the mental health part of that is so big.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this young woman going to be empowered when she walks out and someone tells her she can't do something? Mm-hmm. She's going to say, no, coach let me try. Mm-hmm. And I succeeded at this, and this.
Absolutely.
Or no, coach believed in me. You know, they said I couldn't do it. They said I wouldn't graduate. They said I wouldn't be this caliber athlete. They said I wasn't pretty. They said I wasn't strong. They said I wasn't beautiful. But no, because I've been through this, and this, and these people supported me.
Yes. Yes.
Now I have no doubt. I have no fear.
Yeah.
You know, and when it does come, I'm ready for it.
Absolutely.
I got the tools.
That's right. That's right.
You know, so
yeah. Yeah. And so much of what, you know, I try to think of when in my work is, especially with this age group, is planting seeds with them, because I think they may, you know, I throw a lot of information at them, right? I throw a lot of information at them. We do a lot of different activities. I'm in front of them a lot of times throughout their week. And I think, you know, if they can take a seed from whatever we're talking about and one little thing sticks with them, then that can kind of help them grow down the line. They may not make perfect sense right now, what I'm sharing with them, or it may not click, but somewhere down the line, even if it's not this year, it might be next year or 5 years from now or whatever it is, I'm hoping that something that we've talked about in our work together just clicks for them. And if they can say, okay, I remember this, and, you know, now I want to implement this, or this is going to help me through this, or I'm capable of this, right? Having that self-efficacy of I can do this, even if we're just planting seeds right now, right? It may not all click you know, for everybody at the same time, but hopefully those seeds can be there for them in the future.
So it's funny you said maybe you're planting seeds now, okay? So hindsight's 2020. Mm-hmm. These are some questions I asked everybody, okay? And I missed one. I'm sorry I missed one earlier. I'll go back to it. But hindsight being 2020, what do you wish you knew as an athlete that you know now?
The biggest thing is that it's short. And it, you know, that I wish I could have appreciated how short the window of time to be a competitive athlete was, and that to have fun more, just to take it less seriously, and that it would have been okay to have fun more.
All right, so you wish you knew that it was short, and you wish you enjoyed the process, enjoyed it more. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it the heck out of it. I will say,
but
I think
I
think for me personally, I did struggle a lot with the fear of, you know, failure and mistakes, and that was just a story I kept telling myself over and over, you know, in different environments that I was in. And I think in some ways, while I'm proud of the career that I had, I think my potential could have been even greater if I could have had that, you know, just unlocked potential completely, where fear wasn't holding me back, you know. And so I wish that were different. And I think that's where my role, part of what drives me and what I do, is to support our student athletes in seeing that go have fun, connect to the joy of the sport, and remember that's a huge part of why you do it. And doesn't have to be all serious all the time.
No. And who was that impact coach for you? Who was that coach that you had, whatever sport, that really stood out to you as that was my favorite coach?
Oof, that's hard. I
had
so many.
Okay, maybe not favorite. Who was the coach for you that spoke to you?
Yeah.
That like spoke to who you were, or you see yourself modeling things after?
You know, I'll say a coaching staff.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Because I think that speaks to my experience more completely. My cross-country team and coaching staff in high school, that group of coaches was exceptional. And the reason being is that there were a cluster of them, and they all gave different things to each of us.
Yes.
So we had the great balance of challenge and support, where you had like the demandingness of like, you show up, this is how we prepare, this is how we prepare with nutrition, this is how we sleep, this is all the things that are kind of almost just the enforcement of what you have to do to be successful on the physical side. Yeah. And then there was the hype people. And I don't know how much familiarity you have with the running community, but it's a fun group, especially cross country can
distance.
be. Okay.
Now, my wife does the 5K and
all right.
She ran distance in high school. I was a sprinter.
Okay.
I got a lot of respect for you.
Yes, because it's a yeah. There's, and I think in that sport there is so much joy that comes from it, not just like the runner's high part of it, but just really the appreciation. I think what it is that the coaches they had this appreciation for how hard it was to do that sport, and not giving credit to all sports have their challenge. I think with that, they were all such great hype people. They helped us to be good people also, right? Like we had this great balance of the things to help us be successful, and we made it to state multiple times when I was running with them, and that was so fun.
That's awesome.
And also just all these different people who played a role in, we got from this coach, we got somebody who, like Coach Lightfoot, she would always say 10 more because you can when we were doing core, right? Like she believed in us. There was this part. You had Coach Greenberg who would send us emails, before every meet that were just paragraphs and paragraphs, inspirational and motivational speeches essentially that he gave to us as these gifts of knowing that we could do it and believing in us. And then you had, we called her Mama T, and she was like the team, as exactly what you're hearing from the team mom who just like would wrap you in a hug and tell you how great you were and supported you and loved on you, but also was there to be like, you're a badass, just all of these parts. Coach Kelsey, who was kind of our head coach, and he just kept the ship moving, right? So I think all of it, and even now when I engage in my own physical activity, I'll remember things that they said or the way that I felt when they were cheering me on running in cross country. And I think that just was such a positive environment to be in, and I was so successful because of those coaches.
This is a school in Southern California?
Yes, yeah.
What's the name of the school?
Oak Park High School.
Shout out to
my Eagles. Absolutely.
Shout out to the Eagles in Oak Park.
I'm a Hawk now in DC, but shout out to my Eagles.
I get it. Oh man, that's awesome, Coach. That's amazing. Everybody has that coach or that staff that you just remember their lessons and their voice in those times where you didn't think you remember them, or at the time, whatever. That's just what they say all the time. Yeah. And now you're like, man, that made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I would hear. I mean, it's funny. I was the most competitive thing I've done in recent years was I did a 2.4 mile swim at Lake Tahoe, and it was like,
wait a minute, time out. Wait a minute. You said a swim.
A swim, yes.
Okay. Then you said 2.4 miles.
Yes, indeed.
Then you said in a lake.
Yes.
Yeah, you different.
It was.
Yeah, you different.
And it was. I recreationally swim. I don't call myself a good swimmer, but I do it for fun.
You don't call yourself a good swimmer.
No.
I just feel like you swim across the ocean.
No. It's for fun. It's to keep in shape. Whatever it is. But while I was training for that, it took many, many hours, many days of training, waking up early and doing that. And I reflected so much on my cross country experience and those coaches. And in fact, when I was in that race, I was hearing things that, those coaches would say to me as I was in my cross country races. And it was this reminder that, wow, okay, that had a huge impact on me. And that belief that they had in me still lives here. So, and I can still access it whenever I want to. So that was really a cool moment to experience that reflect back. So
that's amazing. Well, Coach, every podcast we ask our guests to leave a question for the next guest.
Oh, okay.
Now you don't have a staff, okay?
Okay.
But the coach that was before you, his name is Jason Pruitt. He's the assistant coach, who's associate head coach at Indiana State University for women's basketball.
Cool.
And his question, I'm summing it up. I'll get the exact clip when we post it. But what are you willing to do to make the office or the practice that you will have or the programs that you serve to continue to look like the kingdom of heaven, which is very diverse, and the way people look, shape, size, race. That was his question. It's a tough question.
That is a tough question.
But what are you willing to do to help with acceptance? Acceptance is super hard, especially at the college level of recruiting a certain type of kid. And with NIL and the desires of probably certain schools for looks or what would you say to that? Like, how are you helping your kids navigate that space?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I want to understand more. I want to make sure I understand.
So he's a man of faith.
Yeah.
And we talked about recruiting. We talked about, are we recruiting the best athletes, the best people, or are we recruiting the people that we're comfortable with coaching?
How do you understand that difference?
For me is I've been blessed to be at places where I'm the only Black person in the entire school system, and they accept me for who I am, and places where I'm the only Black in the entire school system and they don't accept me for who I am. So I've seen both. Then I've been in places like Decatur where it's a melting pot and we have every type of family, of culture, of race, of socioeconomic status represented here. And it's just school. It's normal.
Yes.
It's what the world really is.
Yes.
And the kingdom of heaven is going to be that.
Yes.
It's going to be people from all over, people from different parts of every place. So his question is, what are you willing to do to help push that forward?
Yeah.
To coach, to work with mental health with acceptance. That's the question.
Yeah. It's still a challenging question. I think a huge part of it is, so much of it is, for me, is, it's self-reflection. Again, I think it comes down to that of just what it's continuously asking myself that question is, how am I serving the diverse array of students that are here, and evaluating sometimes critically if I'm not serving them equally, right, or equitably, I should say. Why is that? Where is the gap here? Where are my blind spots?
That's a great answer, Coach. That's a great answer.
And if our if our group looks a certain way, or is a certain type of person, what is that, and what is my role in that, and how can I support? Not only how can I do that in my own practice, but how can I support our teams, our coaching staffs, to recognize that there is benefit in having more different people at the table, right, and with different experiences, and they don't all have to be carbon copies of themselves, of the next person or this team that was great or whatever it might be. And so I think for me, it's critically evaluating myself and my own biases, my blind spots on things, and if all of my clients are white, for example, what is that saying about how I'm reaching our diverse populations, our marginalized kids, or I think that's a huge part of it, and evaluating my own practices, and then, supporting programs and maybe having challenging conversations about that with coaches and being willing to do that. So I think
an epic answer. I mean, you couldn't answer that question better.
Thanks.
That's an epic answer. I feel the same way, there was a time that I was coaching that I felt like I was Jackie Robinson, and that no matter what I did or said, it was judged not off what I did or said, but who I was. And in trying to serve the children of the people judging me, I realized that I don't really care what those people say, because I know I'm doing right by the child. And I know that child is coming first, no matter if she looks like me or not. And once I got past that was my main goal, was to just serve the kid. I don't care where they come from, how much money they got, what they look like, what they believe in. You may not even have the same religious belief as me. I don't care.
Yep.
You are the child that has been put in front of me to serve, and I'm going to do everything that I can to serve you in the way that you need it, not the way I want to serve.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a hard thing, even as a coach.
Yeah.
I want to play a certain way, but this team needs me to teach them this way, or needed me to take this step for them to be great.
Yes, yeah, because that's how you unlock the potential. That's how you unlock the tools that are in them. Because if you are just, square peg, round hole in it,
do it my way, do it this way, do it this way.
This is how it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be. This is my philosophy. This is it, and you're not adapting.
Yeah.
How far is that going to go?
Not far at all.
Maybe a little. I mean, and you might have success, and that's,
But it's hard to build relationships and help build people.
Yeah.
Doing things that way.
Absolutely.
It's hard to break down generational barriers of acceptance and empathy and understanding if you only see things out of your lenses.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You don't take the time to understand someone else's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great answer, Coach.
Thank you.
That was a great answer.
Back
great
at
answer.
you. I'm learning from you
great.
as well as we're
Man.
working through that question. It's tough, and I'm sure
it was a tough question.
And I'm sure that answer will evolve as I get more, into this work. And and it should, right?
Yeah,
and,
absolutely. Because your experiences will give you a different perspective.
about how to do that. But
okay, so you answered the question. Now you got to leave a question.
Oh goodness. Okay.
So your question will be to another coach.
Mm-hmm.
It can be any question you want, but the goal is to help push the community forward on conversations that we don't normally have.
Yeah.
That's not a conversation that would be in a regular coaching clinic.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be that. I want this to be genuine. I want this to shed light on the struggles or successes of what we deal with on a day-to-day basis to help each other navigate real issues.
Yeah.
So I don't care how hard the question is, Coach. Give me a question for the next coach. We got to get better. We got to get better for these babies.
I know. What's coming to mind is wanting to, again, kind of steal from other conversations that I've heard. But again, I think it came from that conversation with Michael Gervais and Amy Edmondson. But it was the question of how can you let go of the things that are keeping you stuck? And I loved that question. And it's actually out on the whiteboard outside the office right now. How can you let go of the things that are keeping you stuck?
Ask them. Okay. Coach, come on.
I want to know.
This is great.
How can you let go of the things that are keeping you stuck?
Man, that's a great question.
I think that question we can ask forever.
Forever.
Just what's keeping you stuck? How can you let go of that?
That's a great one. I like that. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
This has been awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for the platform.
Maybe we do a round two.
I'm up for that.
In the year, maybe. We got a year of experiences.
Yes.
I'll have a whole season in.
Come back in the spring. Yeah. Absolutely.
We'll do it again. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us on Coaching Minutiae. I hope you enjoyed the episode. We look forward to seeing you next time. We get a chance, check the links in the bio down below. We got a new merch store out, and we got some new gear.
Okay.
Right now it's geared towards coaches, but I got some parent gear and a player release for player empowerment coming out. So thanks for joining us on Coaching Minutiae.
Thanks, y'all.